So I'm going to go ahead and start doing process on this track. This is last year. And things started drying up. So the water was able to come back. White press over here. Got it cut, but we took the site. And this was actually got planted in January of this year. And y'all can walk up here. The good thing is that I was able to do all the mechanical site prep, but I was also able to get it sprayed, which is a very important, just like the last thing you do.
So what site prep prescription did you do here?
When they get through cutting, it looks terrible. It looks like a war zone. Get the things farm. You see all that vegetation out there? That's the buds. Everything's been done. Were they using machines on it? They're going, we know it's stuff. Um, I'm looking for Sam over here. I'm gonna be over here for 2. It pan out the way that it's supposed to. Remember, I always have a plan. So up here, which we've got a pretty good bit left to do, about 75 or 80 acres. It's too much too, all right. Look at them on here, they're like, but he has sprayed. Wait, so you because they need to kind of settle. Pocket and the bed, that dirt. Take all the stuff out. And I'm glad you said that because it, but now there's a market for some. That was the market. Well, that's right. A lighter song. Right.
The stump has to be old enough for it to be marketable. So if it's young stuff, they usually don't want it because the heartwood in there isn't good enough for fountain. If you have real old stuff, especially real old longleaf that has real, then it's worth it. But if you're doing like a 30-year rotation, a lot of times you don't have enough.
You don't stop it.
If you have hardwoods, a lot of times your hardwood stumps usually are going to be a little higher too. I know, but it's for everybody else. You're looking for average overall.
I should tell us. That's good. I mean, you can't have too many people tell it. Don't have to tell them. If the more people that tell them, the more they're going to say better. I really think land. I like to know that the land. Like, hey, how they. I just they might they are watching us.
I'm willing to take
They like that. They got a good crew. Do you do all? Those went they everything all good. You know, we done a can of site prep. About it. And then we had a wet summer and got into the fall wet. And so, and it was under the cost share program. And, you know, they've got a plan. And you're supposed to follow that. And if you don't follow that plan, then that you're disqualified. They don't pay you. So I was I just saying, you know, we want to spray, but we can't. Can't. He said, I know. And they're reasonable people. He said, I know it. We came behind it. We we waited a year to spray it. Give a, but they were.
There is a herbaceous weed control that sometimes you'll see in your management plan that targets grasses. And so it's a little different than what Claire said you did. And so your summer spray and what she was focusing on was the winter. So a lot of times in different eco programs and plans, you'll see a herbaceous weed control. And that's to focus on your grasses, and you do that right over your trees. But it depends on your site. Like a lot of bedded sites don't always need grasses. Like you can see out here, there's some grass that just doesn't look like it's a huge competition. It's more of the woodiness. But then some sites will have a huge grass component, and that way you really want to kill those, especially if they're lonely, so they don't kind of choke them out in the root system. So it depends on your site. It depends.
It depends on a lot of things, but and every site's different, and some sites have different types of vegetation competition, and NRC, they'll look at that and they'll make their recommendations on what's typical. And and they kind of come up with what the.
Do you have his number? Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
So anyway, I got it right. I'm just telling y'all. At Farm Service Agency and NRCS. What do I need to apply for? What's available? And those I'm there all the time. But it's because they're safety and then
No, their offices aren't always together. Ours just happen.
which is so nice. It's so nice to
The one in my county is that they're in two different counties.
bad.
Yeah.
It does make it nice.
It is. Yeah. I don't know that I've just.
Okay, this
Okay.
the others are wrong.
See, I was thinking of this one. I know we were talking about, and we were thinking it was more traditional. But it's terrible.
Yeah,
It's terrible. We had set up a radio in there, and right.
sitting there, but let me tell you, me personally, I don't really like I don't like the great dig. I don't like the great dig. I'll tell this guy that the next track he does for me, some. Well, that's I think before that I was gay here. But I was
Stay.
I don't know.
Depends on your site.
Right. That's where all your minerals and nutrients. So you know, that for plant those ceilings. And then also soil is and it's it doesn't take much for it to get wet and so it so when they grow will that flat that over time they will flatten. They won't flatten out like that one. It won't flatten completely over time. That's towards I don't know.
Yeah, you don't see bedding at nearly as much in the Piedmont. One, because you have more natural slopes, anyways, and different types of dirt, so you'll rarely come across bedding in those regions. No.
I'm not crazy about it, but they will get better. I think came in, we cut, came in, and we sprayed it. About 2 months we came in and turned it all off. A lot of this. I'm hearing more from some
Excite. There you go. So, pretty sure, talking to the man, not really sure about what being around, hanging out here, but I do know from when I checked out this course earlier with Claire, she was talking about how this over here, and I'm going to flip the camera around just so you can see it, was an example of things gone right. I don't know if I can zoom or not. But as you can see, there's just not a lot of woody vegetation. Flip this camera back around. There's not a lot of woody vegetation, which shows that she did spray. She told me a little bit about the background for this track. She had bedded, she sprayed, everything went according to plan, and she planted long leaf. And you can't really see too much. I guess I'm pretty sure this is the site that things went according to plan, but you don't see just a ton of that vegetation up top, which shows the importance of what a herbicide spray did for her track. That's essentially it for right now. As you can tell from the other site, when she didn't spray, you saw all that vegetation that came up, and she talked about her challenges of when things just don't go, 100% right. But when you can do the ideal situation, you're able to give your seedlings that you're investing money for over the next 25, 30 years, you're able to give them that good start. Because the last thing you want to do is kind of pour all of this money in with site prep, even if you're only doing half the site prep recommendations, you're paying money for the seedlings, you're investing a good amount of money up front for something that you expect to get returns on in, 15, 20, 30 years from now. So you want to do everything possible, even if you get cost share, which helps with the reimbursement factor for the trees, you're still putting skin in the game into it. So I think Chelsea had said you get between 60 to 80% reimbursement, average 75% reimbursement. You're still putting 25% in. And so I think her example was if something costs $100, you can expect to get $75 reimbursed, but you're putting $25 in. Now multiply that by the amount of acreages you have. If you have 100 acres, that's $2,500 that you're putting into your property. Now let's assume it only costs $100, an acre, which most likely is not the case. When seedlings for bare root cost $63 for 1,000, 1,000 usually go for almost 2 acres, not quite 2 acres full. So you can see how prices add up a good bit. And if you have over 100 acres that you're doing this for, or if the amount costs, $250 is a pretty average site prep cost per acre that you can expect to pay, that number is just really rounding up. So you want to make sure you do what's necessary to give your tree seedlings the best chance of survival possible. So we're going to be going to one more site, I think. I'm not 100% sure. Then we should be heading back out to the consultant forester area, and that's when the roundtable is. I don't know how many of y'all are still on this call, live, at least that is. If you have any questions and you want to jump on, I'm more than happy to answer them for you. Otherwise, I will plan on seeing y'all at 2:30 very shortly. Thanks.
All right. Lady, this is Buddy Coleman. This is Buddy Coleman. He is one of our local consultants and has been for a long time. Just so, Buddy, I want you to tell them in a couple of minutes something about yourself as a consultant.
Okay. I've been in the forestry business ever since I was big enough to walk, more or less. But I graduated from the University of Georgia in 1964 with a degree in forestry. And when I got out of the service in 1968, I came back and went into the forestry business. Hey, Dottie. That's why I say, hey, Dottie. I guess folks listening. Anyhow, I started then, I worked with my father for a while, who was a timber dealer. And then I ended up later on doing strictly consultancy work. So I've been in it for 53 years now. And it's been enjoyable to me. I can't do what I used to anymore. I found that out. But what else can I tell that somebody would need to know about me? I hadn't been put in jail or anything like that.
So he's been around a lot longer than I have, and he's got all the answers. So any questions that y'all have, Buddy can answer. But yeah, either one of us.
Yeah. You can ask Claire, but she said she can.
You get a man's perspective.
Okay, we're ready. I got a question. I don't go much out of just adjoining the counties. I get sometimes a little further, but very unoccasionally, I reckon you'd say. But I'd say mostly around the counties that join us, and here in our county and Lowndes. I could name those counties that would be interesting to anybody, which ones around us and join us. Well, you got Lanier, Brooks, Eccles, Cook. That's about it. And I believe they join us. You got a Brooks? Yeah, Brooks. I said Brooks. Yeah, and that's about I do go outside of that, but not a lot. I try to stay close in. Well, the best thing to do is get a consulting forester to help you, like Claire or I am. And they know who to talk to, who to get in touch with, and who to get the job done. I mean, I don't know if that's a good answer or not, but that's what you do. If you were going to do it, that's what I suggest. Usually by the acre. Usually by the acre is what I do. And
oh well, I hadn't done that in a long time.
She Claire's got a whole lot of family she's got to look after too. So she does have a lot. And but anyhow, I'm not doing what I used to now. I'm slowed down. I'm old, I think. But anyhow, I'm able to get around, so that's good enough. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Yep. If you got high, dry land, it's got timber on it, and you have thinking about selling it, go home and sell it today if you can. If that'll give you any kind of idea. I've seen it like this. I've seen it. Dottie will remember this. I know. Remember when this 08, Dottie, when the things got so bad, 08, timber prices, and Dottie knows as much as all of us put together too. So I can ask Dottie some questions while we're at it. But anyhow, and Claire, you remember it too, but if you remember, it got at highest that I can remember ever getting for timber up until right now. It was in 2008. It just went crazy. What happened? Just what's happening now. Nobody can get out in the woods with logging equipment because it's too wet. That's one of the major things. Plus, you can see all the other mess that's going on now with what in the United States seems to be. But anyhow, that it happened exactly like it's going right now. And what it did, it went the lowest I've ever seen timber. Well, maybe when I started in 68, it might have been pretty low then. But so that's the lowest I was on. You know, it's hard to ask Dottie what you think too. I mean, that's three opinions here out there. She knows as much as me. But you remember that, Dottie, how low they got back then or not? Is that, you know, it was real, just like it is now. It's just crazy. They taking, some of y'all might not know, usually you got 4 types of pine timber that you buy. You got pulpwood, which is usually, that's your poor grade, your little ones, your crookeds, all that. Then you got chipping saw, which it goes, they chip it, plus they saw a few boards out of it, which is, now I'm going price wise, okay? Started with pulpwood. Don't mind that. Stopping on some of this stuff. Okay. But anyhow, and the next is your saw logs, which is what you grow for 40 years or better. That's what you really try to do. And then you have poles, which poles are the highest usually. But poles are usually most places don't have that many because they're particularly got to be straight and tall and slender and all that kind of business. So, but anyhow, that happened in 2008. I saw that happen. I got the highest prices for timber that I ever sold, and then it quit. It really, really quit. I actually heard stories of people thinning their timber, which I guess y'all familiar with thinning. I can explain it, but it's opening up to where you can let the better trees grow. But I actually heard of some people giving their timber away just to get it thin. So I'm scared what's happening now is not good, I don't think. And like I said, if you got some good high dry timber, it'd be real good to jump on it immediately. Okay, that answer. Okay. Anybody else? Well, I'll tell you what I did. Maybe start something. I didn't know if all y'all know, I don't know if it's interesting to you or not, the different types of pine trees. And, pine trees are usually our best money makers. But hardwood some places where hardwood is your things like oaks and bays, poplars, and that kind of tree. In other words, most of it, there's high ground plus your major parts in swamps and your wet land. But I used to, when my kids were in school, I used to take kids out and ride around in a golf cart or something and show them some of these things. I guess y'all all look like kids to me. So. But anyhow, if y'all are interested, I'm just going to show you a few of the pine cones of and the trees that come off of it. If you got anything you want to say before? Okay. All right, now I'll pass them around. The first thing is easier to get to. I got to get my hand in this bucket and they have stickers on the pine cones. So right here, I'll pass this around. You've heard of thinning. That's a real scrawny little old tree right in it, Donnie. But you can see on here the rings going around here are the growth rings. And one of them is dark and the other one is light. One, just every other one. Which one is in winter and which one's the summer? Well, the dark is the winter. Okay, thank you. I forgot that one. But anyhow, you see it. And you can tell when it first started, see, it was a little old tree, didn't have anything competing with it. It's growing real good. You can see the rings. That's the growth rings. Right, but if you look on it and look at it close, you can see it gets down towards the end of it, outside edge of it. You can't even see it, hardly count the rings, period, because they are they've been suppressed by larger trees and all so much. So if y'all like to see some of these, I'll pass them around, and I got several. And I thought if any of y'all, I got some more. I don't. If any of y'all would be something, it's not hurt my feelings if you don't want them. But if like there's 3 they got them. And y'all take a look at them. Here's one more. If somebody would like to keep one that just might look good on your Christmas tree. I don't know. Claire can be looking on my shoulder on this, and just in case, I'm gonna just show you down here in our area, Lowndes County. We have about 4 or 5 major pine trees. I guess called major. We got the longleaf. Everybody hears about that. You know that they rake your pine straw from. And then you have slash pine, which is probably most prevalent when you say probably slash. Then you have loblolly, which probably is prevalent slash is, I guess. But and that's your major lumber making trees right there. Then you have pond pines, which kind of grow in the wet places. And pond pines, they make pulpwood, but they don't make lumber unless somebody sneaks them in. Right now, I think it happens occasionally. And anyhow, well, what we're talking about, that's a pond pine. That's a pond pine, isn't it? I think it could be. I got some loblolly in. I got at least some. But longleaf should have been on top. That's a slash, you know. And that's a longleaf. That's your biggest for the longleaf. And it's, I got some out. If somebody wants to keep a longleaf for themselves, they can do it. You're welcome. I'm not supposed to pass here. Listen, see any more? There's another longleaf I see on the bottom. Those are slash. So. Okay, D. I think that's a lot long. Yeah. Well, you folks are listening in. We're just sitting here talking about something. In a minute, we'll be back with you. Right, here's a slash. That's a slash pine. Here's one more that's right there. Slash, and then we got a couple. Oh, there's another one that's pictures. I think I think I came out of the yard. I think that's slash is called. Now what we got right now is yet the seeds are getting ready to fall almost any time out of the tree. It used to look like that. That one's opening a little bit, but it's solid green. Have you ever noticed that? And we got 100-foot tree in our front. I was going to say, I got 100-foot trees. When I go to mow in the yard, I put a helmet on. I do. I do. I mean, you ought to see how yard is. So here's a little, that's a small slash cone there. That's one of that. Well, I thought I had one in there somewhere. You might have missed it. Right, you don't think any more than one more of these. So that's why they up real tight usually. You know, just for why they're green. Well, there's a pond pine there, I think. You know, they sit right up flat up against the tree. But it's got a little bit of a thing. I don't know.
So I have a question while everyone's examining.
Okay. That's a good question because you got quite a bit. I guess the first thing you'd have to do is probably you got two different ways of doing it. You can do it chemically or you can do it mechanically. I'd say mechanically, Holland stopped me. I'd say mechanically, probably you'd have to go in there and rake it with a bulldozer. All right. And then when you've done that, you go in and bed it. You put a bed in there. If you got the kind of land like Claire and Dottie and I've got, and it gets real wet and it's flat and no place for water or anything, you put a bed. You can visualize it. Probably about as wide, about like that table, rounded off. And almost some of them you're about that high anymore. But it was real wet. But then you put the bed in there, and then you come back and plant. I think that's it. Yeah, that's right. Yes, if you can, that helps. Exactly. And the other way is you can chemically treat one, and that's usually on your sandy or poor land. You take it and you spray it and kill all the weeds and everything back. And then you come in there and you got that done already. So then you hand plant. That's the next. Usually hand planted, or they do have what they call a V-blade planter, which V-blades down over the ground and pushes it back to a clean strip like that. But y'all done some of that too, Dottie? Amen. That sounds good. One other thing I'd suggest, I think that Dottie this was kind of all together. I'd want somebody to turnkey do the job. Do everything, clean it up, plant it, spray it. And I imagine that's what Dottie does there, because if you got that in with that 3 years, that would be great. Now, I do agree with her that possibly, I do a lot more small places, and Dottie's got quite a bit of land that she has to look after. And so she can, present, somebody give her a lot better thing, which is good. But I guess when you get down, if you had somebody, did John Jones 50 acres this year, and then Tom Smith over here needed another 30 acres, it'd be a little harder probably to do than that, I imagine. But that's great. That's right, Jack. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Okay. See, I told you, Dottie and Claire know more than me about some of this stuff. So. All right. Any more questions? Goodness. Very difficult. everybody's big nowadays. You don't see small contractors of any kind site do anything else. You know, we use some fairly small ones sometimes, but it's hard to get a little job like that done. Yeah, most of them want because most of these people probably sitting on a $500,000 worth of equipment or something like this, so they can't afford to move. What's that? Keep looking for somebody and see if you can find them. That's the best. Get a consultant to help you with it, of course. I think that's a good idea. I believe that's, I guess, patting myself on the back, but I always rather get somebody who knew what they were doing to help me do something. But I guess you got any different ideas?
Well, I mean, it's true.
Yep. That's good. That's exactly what you got to do. Well, containerized is supposed to be better. I reckon so, as far as I can tell. I've seen some of them work good either way, haven't you? Slash. I have one time that I can remember doing it, and it did pretty good. I can tell you right where it is. It was on James Oliver's place on the way to Clottville, and they had a bar pit there. You know, it taken all the good soil off, and it did pretty good. You can see it from the road. You have to be going. I don't know if you know where his place was now, but it did. I hadn't seen it lately because it's sold now to somebody else. James passed away. Well, I think it'd be worth it. Slash container. Oh, okay. That means somebody told me to plant loblaw too. That. I like loblaw. It all depends on where you plant it. Where loblolly grows best is on clay land, or either right down and around the river bottoms. That's if I was going to plant it anywhere. But I got Claire wouldn't speak to me. She knew this, but I'll go ahead and tell her. I planted some bunch on my flatwoods land. There's no flatwood land 2 years ago. And I was trying, I want to see if I said, you know, if it catches up and see what it really should have been a slash site. But I planned, I said, if it'll catch up, I think it'll end up outgrowing the slash because I just going to see how fast I can get it to grow. Well, it ain't done real good so far. I got slash that was planted on somebody else's land twice as big as that same time. I guess so. Yeah.
Anybody here? I would look into that. Definitely look into that. I would like for somebody else to
I'll show you some.
Why didn't you plant them, buddy?
I planted them. I can show you. I can show you a place. No, so a lot of them are already been thin to cut by. It's been a long time ago. But I can show you places where the loblolly has seeded into a long leaf stand and completely wiped them out. They grow so fast. You get them on the right ground, they'll take it over. I'll tell you that. And I can't. I don't know. I've been around, they say, a long time, but I can't. If I see the right kind of land, I'm gonna put a loblolly on it, because they gonna outgrow it. You put them on good clay land. And I tell you what, I wish all y'all that ever did have any timber could see. A lot of y'all, so we cutting on a place right now on Little River over here, and not Little River, Coochie. They got the prettiest loblolly poles you ever saw in your life cutting out there right now. And if they get on the right land when it grows fast enough, I can tell you another story about it too. They'll say, I had to say, well, the same people that's cutting right out of Daddy planted one row of slash, one row of loblolly. And when they got older, 15, 20 years old, Daddy cut all the loblolly out, left the slash. After that, see, that slash had not grown anything like the loblolly had, and it was weak, and it suppressed the slash fell over. That's the greatest thing. You ever saw that? It's right there on I'll tell you something, McMillan Road. Matter of fact, we're cutting the timber right now. But it actually did that. I wish you could have seen it, Dottie, but it did. He cut one of these. And I planted on my place, I've mixed loblolly and slash. But I can't tell one better than the other. That's right. And I don't know that. The thing is, I don't know the fact is what the timber market's going to do, like what's going to happen with it. It just changes so much. If you can get something that you can cut the timber and harvest and make money off of, I'd say plant it and not worry about it making a saw log anymore. I don't know, y'all do probably. But yeah, it will. It'll outgrow them. And the thing is, if you crowd them enough, they'll straighten out. They'll lose all the lower limbs. They'll prune themselves off naturally. And I've grown a lot of it. I'll have to. I know most everybody like y'all don't like it, but I do. Yeah. All depends where it is. Yeah, Dottie said the word. Then she said. Yeah, Dottie said the word. Then she said, "No, where it's planted, what the site is or whatever." That makes a big difference. Yeah, but they'll outgrow it. But you would be surprised. I'm just telling these two guys, I know them, that they ought to see someone cut down. Really, a pole is a really straight tree with not many limbs on and all that. But this is pretty. I wish they could see that. They cut you know where it's going? Going to the paper mill. All of that. We cutting a complete stand that's going to the paper mill. And that's what's happening. I'm telling everybody about. Something's going to hit the fan. And I'm thinking that I hate to be a pessimist, but I hope I'm just a realist. But right now, that's the paper mills are buying all the big saw timber. They're paying for it. But they're paying the same price as pulpwood. They're paying for the big logs. Really, I've heard some tremendous prices, especially down the edge of Florida. and they got a bunch of paper mills. And that's what's happening. Folks are just getting desperate, kind of like jobs and everywhere with COVID and all this business. Okay, anything else? How about Claire? You got anything to say? Told me that. Oh, okay.
Well, I don't hate them because I love all pine trees. They're just not my. Okay. I just don't prefer them because they're not a pretty tree, and they're very limby and so therefore there's a lot of knots in the tree, and so I just don't think it's a quality tree. And I like for my trees to be pretty because I look at them every day and I want them to look nice. And the longleaf really to me is the best, the prettiest and the best quality. Slash is next, as far as I'm concerned. That's my opinion.
Okay, I got it back. And she's right about what they are as far as that goes. You can sit down and go over a lot of things that cause this and that and the other with the pine tree growth and that kind of thing. Longleaf is what everybody hears so much about. I think they say the wildlife like it best. No, but I tell you that I planted longleaf when they first started, which was probably close to 40 years ago by now. I reckon maybe longer than that. But I'm not very impressed with this. I'm not very impressed with the nursery grown longleaf. I'm not. I mean, you look at some, I can tell you some right now to look at. And again, at 14, they've got a lot more disease than they ever had. And a lot of them are forked. And they got a lot, and talk about limbs now. They will limb, but they got limbs slapped to the ground too. And the best thing I think you do with longleaf is to pine straw it. And I know longleaf, which Claire was saying, if you had mature 40-year-old trees, you could name your price. I mean, your type. Yeah, longleaf that'd be the best one if they'd grown in a good natural situation. Then slash, just like she said. I agree, and I'm sure Dottie does too. But I don't. I'm just telling. I've told folks I'm not impressed with the unnatural longleaf. Excuse me. Longleaf, it's just hard as all get out to get one to survive, one that's the bare roots. It's tough because you got to get the roots on down in the ground. And it's pretty hard to do. I've been involved in a few of them, and I can show you one good place where they did do it. But yeah, and a lot of folks say burn them when they're young, and you got to do that when they are young. Don't let them get up too high. Burn them. But you should, if you pleased with them and heard good things about them, I would say do that. I don't.
I actually have a nursery that I prefer to buy from, and I've bought from different ones. First of all, they're a pleasure to do business with. But secondly, the guy that that kind of oversees my planting likes the way they do their root, the containerized part of it. He just says they plant better. I mean, he just preferred the way they do. He's the one that told me about them. I'd never even heard of them, and so I tried them, and they do real well, and they're, like I said, easy to work with too. But they just liked the way the size of the containerized, the length, all of that stuff was a factor when you go to hand plant them. It makes a difference, going into the ground and all that. And he liked that. So he said he preferred them over some of the other nurseries. And so I thought, well, I want to keep them happy, my planters. And so that's why I buy from these people. And so it's Whitfield Nurseries. They're in Twin Cities, Georgia. Okay. They're small, family owned. Yeah. I just I love dealing with them. I've gotten to know them really good, and they're just easy to work with, when it comes to delivery and all these things. So that's who I like. But I mean, I'm open to others, but that's who I go to first. There's plenty of others though that are very good. They have very good product, seedlings, they're good, healthy trees, and they're easy to deal with, and so it's nothing against any of the others. I just kind of have a personal preference with this company. But anyway.
Yeah, that's the thing. You need to know somebody like her or something, and that's what you do with anything. I reckon if you go down to buy a hot dog or something, you want to get it from somebody that can tell you that's the right thing to do. So that's definitely. They are good ones and bad ones. I've had a lot of those, both kinds. Okay, anything else? I tell you, there's one other person that y'all need. Julie, I see Julie a lot. They come out trying to help me figure out what to do with my stuff.
All right. If you can think of anything, don't hesitate just to email me afterwards. I can always reach out to Buddy and Claire and get their responses. I can throw in my responses. And just, I know it's hard to ask questions when you don't know what to ask. And so having connections that you feel completely comfortable just reaching out and be like, hey, I've got a quick question. What do you think about this? Is super important. But I really appreciate the time you've taken to come out here, share your thoughts and experiences, your wealth of experiences. So we really appreciate that, and your samples that you brought out to us. And Claire, we really appreciate your time taking us to your property and just letting us know everything that you've done and sharing those experiences as well. So thank you so much. Okay, how long was my mic not on for? Okay, I pretty much read all the purposes. And can y'all hear me now? When can you hear me now? After clapping hands. Oh, you missed everything. Okay, pretty much I read all of the comments of what y'all wanted to get out of today. And I showed y'all this, and I'll read these just so y'all virtually can know what these said. It says conquering the first step in this landowner journey, strategies for the future. And then I shared all of the comments y'all had at the beginning about wanting to learn about cost share and seedlings, gain a better understanding, which pines to plant, how to become more knowledgeable, and connecting with your sisters south of the border. Anyways, so now we're down to letting people actually talk. So who wants to talk? Okay.
So I'm in the lumber business, but I still have tree identification issues. So I feel like loblolly, longleaf / I'm good. I think I have learned exactly. I do feel comfortable. So this has been great. Everything was really great. Really loved the field trip, kind of being a hands-on person, having to see the trees and the example between spray, not spray, and the bedding. So that was, again, a wonderful.
Thank you, Claire. I'm a visual person, so seeing it on a piece of paper doesn't really do it for me. That walking through, the little walk and the drive-through was perfect. Thank you very much.
All right. I won't peer pressure y'all anymore. Any virtual folks? That way I can look you in the eye. Any virtual folks?
Yeah, I've got a question. Yeah, I got a question. And I was typing it, but I think I was typing it directly to Demetrius. But when Mr. Buddy was talking about the rings on the pieces of wood and what the dark rings and the light rings meant, can you explain that? Because I don't think we could really hear him.
So the light rings and the dark rings, they're pretty much different stages of growth. So dark rings represent the growth that the tree did in the winter months, and then the light rings represent the growth in the summer months. So when you're aging a tree, you only count the light or the dark. You don't count both. And a lot of times you'll see wider rings in the light rings because they'll do more growth in the summer than the winter. But then determining like the width too also tells you if they're ready to thin, if they're like in a kind of a poor climate and they're just not growing that well because they're really tight together.
Okay, very good. I thought that's what he was meaning, but I just wanted to make sure and what I was thinking was exactly correct. So thanks.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll just say thank you very much. It's been very beneficial. I wish that I could have been there because it's not the same whenever you're trying to see it visually and can't hear everything, etc. But it's still been very beneficial, and I thank you all for it.
Thank you so much for joining us virtually still. We appreciate that. On the comments, so sorry I missed the field visit, couldn't hear anything and would have loved to have it summarized. I will do my best to summarize everything. Honestly, they did a lot of driving and talking, and so I still didn't get all of that. But I do have the field visit recorded, so I will try to condense that down for y'all, and hopefully I think you can hear on the phone. And if not, I'll try to summarize it for you too. All right, well, so what's next? That's the next question, right? What do you do now? What's next? So I will send this list out to y'all as well, but next week we have a webinar with the Longleaf Alliance, the top 3 misconceptions of longleaf. It's just an hour long, 9:30 a.m. on Zoom. You do have to register on Zoom to get that link, completely free. After that, we do have 2 half-day clinics with the Longleaf Alliance on longleaf. The first is, they're called Ladies in Longleaf. So the first is just all about longleaf, kind of the basics of longleaf. And the second one is all about prescribed burning and things you should know and understand to burn your longleaf, and maximize that impact. What else do I have? Upcoming is the Women Landowner Academies. So you'll start seeing a lot of marketing for that coming out soon. The Women Landowner Academy is a 6-week online land ownership program. So once a week, we meet online and we go over each of the chapters of the printed workbook. A lot of, I don't know, I think some of y'all here went through my program last year, and a lot online went through my program last year. And if you've done that, or if you want the next step, the Landowner Academy 2.0 comes and starts February 2022. And that's going to go a little bit deeper into different forest management topics, such as how to interact with a consultant, how to determine what type of timber products you have, wildlife enhancements, and prescribed burning basics. And again, that'll have a printed workbook that'll be mailed to you. It'll be 6 weeks long. We'll meet once a week online. And then at the end, you'll be done. I have another program for 2022 that I'm not going to share with y'all yet because I'm not ready to. But you will see something about that. And that I think is going to be really exciting. And I hope that is something y'all are going to really, really like. We have 3 more workshops as well as part of the Women Landowner Workshop series. So the next one is harvesting. It'll be in January, at the end of January. Right now it's scheduled to be in Columbus. I might change that up a little bit. We'll see in the next couple of weeks. But that's all about just selling your timber and things to know with that. It's structured very similarly to today's workshop. So it's the presentations, landowner field tour, consultant roundtable, and then the end. And then we have 2 more workshops lined up partnered with UGA. Wildlife enhancements on March 3rd in Guyton, Georgia at the Warnell Education Center. And then sustainability in Eastman, partnered up with Stuckey Timberlands and the Susan Coffee. And they're just going to be talking about all about like kind of that legacy conservation, water quality, forest health, just sustainability and the big picture of things. So that's all I got through May 2022. So I will probably have some, more pop-up webinars and other opportunities like that. If you want to stay connected, subscribe to my website, follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and you'll stay up to date with everything that I have coming out. Do we register for ladies? No, registration for the longleaf clinics are not open yet. That will open after the webinar next week. So you can register that through Eventbrite. You'll kind of see the notification open, but it won't open until next Wednesday after the webinar is complete. So any questions? Well, I really appreciated y'all's time today, and I really appreciated y'all and Ms. Claire for hosting us and taking care of so much of the logistics for me. I really appreciate that. And all the sponsors, of course, that make all of this possible, UGA, Bradley Murphy Trust, all of my collaborative sponsors. So thank you so much. And I hope y'all have a great day. And we're getting out early, so it's a win for everybody. So have a good day, y'all.